There is a moment that happens in almost every American household at some point. You look at your credit card statement and realize you have been making the minimum payment for 6 months. The balance has barely moved. Maybe it has actually gone up. And you cannot quite figure out how that is possible when you have been paying every single month without missing one. Here is how it is possible. You are not a customer to the credit card industry. You are the product. And the system was not designed to help you manage money. It was designed to extract as much of it from you as possible for as long as possible. Today we are going to walk through exactly how that extraction works, step by step, so you can see the machinery clearly and stop feeding it. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about money and the systems built to separate you from it. Subscribe if you want the honest version of personal finance. No sponsored content. No credit card affiliate links. Just the math. Let us start with the number that makes everything else make sense. The average credit card interest rate in America right now is over 22% annually. 22%. To put that in perspective, the stock market has historically returned about 10% per year, which means credit card debt grows more than twice as fast as the best long-term investment most people have access to. Every dollar you owe on a credit card is working against you harder than almost any dollar you could put to work for you. But here's the thing. 22% sounds enormous when you say it out loud. So the industry never says it out loud that way. They say it as a daily periodic rate. They say it in fine print. They bury it in terms and conditions that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found most Americans do not read and could not fully understand even if they did. The number is technically disclosed, but it is disclosed in a way specifically engineered to feel abstract and irrelevant right up until the moment it is not. Now let us talk about minimum payments because this is where the real damage happens. Credit card companies are required to set minimum payments. And the minimums they set are, not coincidentally, almost perfectly calibrated to maximize the total interest you pay over time. A typical minimum payment is around 2% of your balance or $25, whichever is greater. On a $5,000 balance, that is a $100 minimum payment. Sounds manageable. Here is what that actually means. If you make only minimum payments on $5,000 of credit card debt at 22% interest, it will take you over 20 years to pay it off. And you will pay roughly $6,000 in interest on top of the original $5,000. You will pay more in interest than you originally borrowed. And the card company will collect every cent of it while you make on-time payments every single month. Let me make that concrete. If you owe $5,000 at 22%, and you invest $500 a month in the stock market earning 8%, instead of paying off the debt, you will lose money. Badly. The interest compounding against you outpaces the returns compounding for you by a factor of more than 2. People do this every day because investing feels productive and debt payoff feels like nothing happened. But the math is unambiguous. The minimum payment is not designed to help you get out of debt. It is designed to keep you in debt as long as mathematically possible while technically staying compliant with lending regulations. Here is another mechanism most people never think about. The grace period. Most credit cards offer a grace period of around 21 to 25 days, where if you pay your full balance, you owe 0 interest. This sounds like a consumer protection, and for people who pay in full every month it is. But the grace period disappears the moment you carry a balance. Once you owe anything from a previous month, interest begins accruing on new purchases immediately from the day you make them, with no grace period at all. So the person who carries a balance pays interest on their groceries from the moment they swipe the card. The grace period that felt like a benefit becomes invisible the second you need it most. There is also a less discussed mechanism called penalty repricing. If you miss a payment or trigger certain conditions in your cardholder agreement, many cards are allowed to raise your interest rate to a penalty rate that can exceed 29% on existing balances. Retroactively, the rules around this were tightened by the Card Act in 2009, but penalty rates still exist and still devastate people who trigger them, often without fully understanding what happened or why their minimum payment suddenly doubled. Then there are the fees. Late fees up to $41 per occurrence. Annual fees on premium cards ranging from $95 to over $500. Foreign transaction fees. Cash advance fees with their own separate and typically higher interest rates that start accruing immediately with no grace period ever. Balance transfer fees. Over-limit fees. These are not incidental revenue for credit card companies. They are a core part of the business model. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau estimated that Americans paid over $14 billion in credit card late fees alone in a single recent year. $14 billion from people who were one day late. But the fees and interest rates are only part of the story. The deeper mechanism is psychological, and it is extraordinarily sophisticated. Credit cards systematically exploit the same present bias we talked about in the last video. The brain's tendency to feel current spending as less painful than future payment. Studies show that people consistently spend more when paying by credit card than when paying with cash. Not a little more. Significantly more. One MIT study found people were willing to pay up to 100% more for the same item when using a credit card versus cash. The physical act of handing over money activates a real neurological pain response. Swiping a card does not. The purchase feels free at the moment of transaction. The pain gets deferred to a future self who has to deal with the statement. The rewards programs amplify this effect dramatically. Points, miles, cashback, these are not gifts from the credit card company. They are psychological tools designed to make you feel like you are winning every time you spend money. The average rewards program returns somewhere between 1 and 2% of spending back to the cardholder. The average credit card interest rate is 22%. The math on using a rewards card while carrying a balance is not close. You are earning 1 cent for every dollar spent while paying 22 cents for every dollar borrowed. But the points feel immediate and tangible. The interest feels abstract and distant. So people chase the rewards while paying for them 10 times over in interest. The credit card industry spent decades lobbying for the right to charge these interest rates. Before 1978, most states had usury laws capping interest rates. A Supreme Court ruling that year allowed banks to export the interest rate laws of whatever state they were chartered in, regardless of where the customer lived. Credit card companies immediately moved their operations to states like Delaware and South Dakota, which had no interest rate caps. The rates we live with today are not an accident of the market. They are the direct result of specific legal decisions made specifically to allow them. So what do you actually do with this information? First, if you carry a credit card balance right now, paying it off is the single highest return investment available to you. A guaranteed 22% return. Nothing in the market comes close to that on a guaranteed basis. If you have to choose between investing and paying off credit card debt, pay off the credit card. Every time. Second, if you use credit cards, use them as a payment method, not a borrowing tool. Pay the full balance every month without exception. The rewards are real if you never pay interest. They become a trap the moment you do. Third, understand that every feature of your credit card, the rewards, the grace period, the minimum payment, the app that makes spending frictionless, was designed by teams of behavioral economists and psychologists whose job is to maximize how much money flows from your account to theirs. You are not playing against an amateur. You are playing against a system that has spent decades optimizing for exactly one outcome. Know what game you are in before you decide how to play it.